Hello, hello. Welcome to the Simply Together show. What the hell is going on outside? What is that? Rain. And we are the 3rd of June. Rain, wind, the whole lot. Yes, absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, we've got Shelley in the background. Busy. So how are you doing, Nike?
Not too bad. Not enamored with this weather. It did actually disturb me for getting out for my walk this morning because I thought, oh, it's just windy. And I got dressed, I got ready, put my trainers on, put my phone on the selfie stand. I was ready, keys in hand, opened the door, and I'm like, no. The weather says no. Oh,
It
so
says
yeah.
no. Yeah,
So we'll try and get out this evening.
I think the weather forecast is rain for the next few days, even up to the weekend. I know it's a bit crap, but anyway, it is what it is. We can't change that, can we?
I know. It's all part of the British makeup, isn't it? As I say. So yeah. And how are you?
I'm good. Things are okay. Work is busy. Life is life. Yeah, all good.
You're 1 month in since your big birthday, nearly. How's that?
Listen, the big birthday is lasting the whole year because I've got other things happening.
I love it.
Not
That's
this weekend.
That's the celebration, though. I wasn't asking you about the celebration.
Oh,
I was asking about you. How do you
know what?
feel?
Personally, I feel fine. Some stupid survey the other day, and the person said, "Are you in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s?" And I thought, "Oh God, I've now moved from the 50s into the 60s.
Yeah.
Oh shit." and they said early 60s or late 60s, and I just thought, I'm 60, just 60. Yeah,
It's so funny how we kind of get all hung up on it, though, isn't it? And it's when you're talking about forms. I remember when they made a big deal about it a good few years ago now. You know how when they have the click down, and obviously you'd have to scroll. Obviously, the older the were, the further you down you had to scroll.
yeah.
And in those days, they were not sophisticated, so you couldn't just type in. Because obviously, when you could just type in and it puts the date for you, that was much better. And obviously, the most other stupid things that they have on this for while I'm on the subject is that the first one will drop down, like it will be 2025. I mean, even if you're born in 2025, which 6-month-old babies can fill it out a form?
It's true, though. It is true. Yes, you're right. But it is very long to scroll down to 1965. It takes you a very long way.
It does.
But hey, it is what it is.
Indeed.
So today we are going to talk about reset. But I just want to read something out that I've just seen on Facebook and I've shared about Taylor Swift. Okay. What was that?
Just me and my little prejudices. Go on.
Oh, okay. So you're not a Swiftie then?
No, definitely not.
Okay. Now that's going to be interesting.
I'm not at all. I just think she's really, what's the word? I don't know. She's just.
Okay, let me read this then. Let me read this then. It's a little bit long. And I'm not a Swiftie, but I'm not a Swiftie. I don't really care.
Yeah.
So, this might ruffle some feathers, and honestly, I hope it does because it needs to be said. This is from somebody, right? I'm not a Swiftie. I'm a dad. I'm a football fanatic, and I'm genuinely disappointed in how some people treat Taylor Swift for doing one simple thing: existing publicly while smiling. Let me remind you. Your children are watching you roll your eyes at a woman for showing up at a football game, cheering on a man she clearly loves and respects. They're watching you mock someone for taking up a joyful space. What are we teaching them? Did you know Taylor Swift has won over 300 awards for her work as an artist, a writer, and a businesswoman? That her Eras tour pumped $5 billion into the US economy, helping restaurants, hotels, local businesses, and families. That her artistry is so influential, it's now taught at Harvard, Stanford, and UC Berkeley. Obviously, this is somebody from the States.
Yeah.
And did you know she quietly donates to food banks in every city she performs in, helping real people without fanfare? But here's what matters even more. She was sexually assaulted by a DJ during a meet and greet. When he sued her for $3 million, she countersued him for $1 just to make a point. Justice matters. Standing up matters. Women matter. And if you still don't care, maybe you should, because your sons, your daughters, your nieces, your nephews are watching you mock a woman for being successful, visible, and loved. Let's teach our boys to respect women. Let's teach our girls they are allowed to be seen, loud, loved, and proud. Let's do better, not just for Taylor Swift, but for every woman who's ever been told she's too much just for being herself. So, if anybody's watching, what's your thoughts?
I think what he's saying is true. I can't even argue with that. But
so, if anybody's watching, what's your thoughts? Sorry, that's me. That's me.
I think all right.
I can't even turn it down.
I was confused. I'm like, what's happened? Have we frozen? No, actually, to be very sincere with you, 100%. If you don't like something, you don't like the vibe you get from them. Like I always say, keep your opinion to yourself, says me, but at least I was asked, to be fair.
Says you who already went, oh.
No, I just went, oh, because, and to be honest, I don't really see that post as being about Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
It is about anybody that, whether you like them or not, and you can substitute the fact that they're talking about a successful woman, but then again, it could be just because the person is black, because the person is gay, because the person is trans, disabled, etc. Obese. You could substitute the words Taylor Swift for any person, and there are people who react the way that person is describing, which I 100% agree it is really, really poor. Somebody should not be mocked, ridiculed, or whatever for just existing in a space. Where he makes a point about the football thing with Bob, this is where the medias play into the ability for people to behave like this, because really and truly, we've had this conversation about the football and celebrities being there. It sometimes does detract from the football.
Yeah.
You're watching there, you're really excited. I mean, I've had it before. I get really not so much these days, but I used to watch a lot of tennis and even a lot of football, and it's really annoying. You're really into what's happening, and all of a sudden they've panned out to some person just because, and that person is not even. At least with the tennis, it's usually most of the time it was past tennis stars.
Okay.
Before
I thought you were going to say somebody like Princess Anne.
Well, no, but yeah, there was the Princess Anne, and then I'm like, Prince, why? What? Because that is taking away minutes that you're watching. So that in itself was a genuine irritation. But then that is not, as you bring her up, that's not Princess Anne's fault. It's not Taylor Swift's fault. I would use the example of Michael Jackson. Sorry, but you talk about Taylor Swift. I'm a Michael Jackson person, and he would get invited. And I can't remember which one of the basketball players it was, where they wanted him to come to the match, and he's like, I can't come. And it's not that I don't want to come, because if I come, it's going to cause it's going to cause a problem. And I mean, obviously, I think now we're quite desensitized to that particular problem, because in those days there was no social media, so you only got the feel of your celebrities and idols by wanting to be in the space where they are. So you know, in a way, we're quite lucky. As much as they might show Taylor Swift on those things, because her fans, or Swifties as they're called, they get to see her online all the time. They're not probably swarming around. But yeah, no, I think that is a really good message that the guy sends.
So Shelley's just said that as an American football fan, I will say that fans are upset that the main cameras will put her on screen while they're playing, while the game is playing.
Which is exactly what I've just said, yeah.
So should that say, but they don't do that with any other celeb watching the game?
Well, I don't know. I don't watch American football like that. Well, it goes back to what I was saying, because, like I said, they do it at Wimbledon as well.
Yeah. But that's not her fault, then, is it? That's not her fault. She's just going.
Not her fault. But then the people who are broadcasting are acting like they're tone deaf, because this has been a thing for a very long time, but they continue to do it. And let's face it, for all the accomplishments this girl has made, she does not need extra publicity. You know, the guy that she's with doesn't need extra publicity.
No.
So why do they need to do it past them? You know, they could show her coming in, they could show her cheering or whatsoever, but they do not need to show it while the game is playing.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that team. But because it came
team,
up,
please explain.
I don't even know what team that is. What team is it?
Kansas City Chiefs. So they were at the Super Bowl. They went all the way through to the Super Bowl, and it got to the point where I would always watch the Super Bowl, no matter what teams were playing. But even I was then getting fed up with the cameras always being put on her and her friends.
Yeah.
Now, this has never been the case before. There have been many, many different quarterbacks going out with models or pop stars or anything else. Bearing in mind, the best quarterback player, that's not even from one of my teams, but the best quarterback player of recent times was going out with a very, very successful model.
Yeah, but who is it? Who's that then? Who is that?
So you had Brady and you had Giselle.
Oh, yes.
They were married.
Yeah.
They were married. They'd been together for a very, very long time before they recently divorced. He was always in a Super Bowl. He's got 5 Super Bowl rings. That kind of publicity with those screens was never on her as much as Taylor Swift has got right now. It's nothing to do with what she's doing. It's just this huge thing of how things go. I mean, yes, she's a very good pop star. Does she write all her own music? You're not quite sure. It's some of the stuff that goes around with that. Yes, she does give back, and that's quite a lot with the NFL. The NFL players do as well. But NFL players get a lot of money, but they put a lot of resources and time back into their communities. There was a lot of giving back. So yes, she does all of those amazing things, but it's just because they're together, the media themselves have created this fuss that it's just ridiculous. And it always used to be, every now and again, so for instance, like Super Bowl, you've got a load of talk at the beginning, all the fans are coming in, and then the cameras would then go into the proper boxes. So you would then see all your actors that are there, and all the celebs, that kind of thing. So you have it then, and you might have it during a downtime during the game. So when because it has to go up for a certain amount of time and comes back a certain amount of time, there is a quite a lot in between where there's no gameplay. And they'd go to reactions to different fans, celebrity fans. They're not all nearly always, or fans that have made a normal bog standard fan that has made a difference, like they've all got dressed up or whatever. So you'd have all those kind of pictures, but during the off time of when they're actually playing during the game, not that I've just seen something happen And because Taylor Swift has reacted, because she's going to, because it's her boyfriend, all of a sudden you get a picture of her and her friends celebrating. And it's like, hang on a minute, I want to know what's going on in the rest of the field. Can you put it back on there, please? Yeah.
So
that's what it's from.
Okay. Hi, Rita. So there's two things going on there, then, isn't there? Because ultimately this is all done by the media. They're the ones that are panning their cameras, going and looking at what her face is looking like and what she's doing and when she's screaming and all of that crap, you know. But at the same point, well, maybe there's three things there. So the media is one. The other thing is, what is it about Taylor Swift that has annoyed so many people? And then also what this guy has written around, you need to be careful when you're pulling your faces in front of your kids, because ultimately
into it,
you know, people are pulling their faces because it's another picture of Taylor Swift, but you're doing that in front of your child.
I suppose it's the difference though, isn't it? Because are they pulling the face because they don't like Taylor Swift, or are they pulling the face because, like what Shelley said, something's just happened in the match and you want to revel in what has happened in the match, and all you're seeing is Taylor Swift?
That doesn't actually matter. If you've got a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, maybe even a bit older, they are not going to work out why you're pulling your face. All they're going to see is mum or dad is pulling a face. Taylor Swift is on the screen. Oh, you know, and that.
I think that's quite a big leap. I think that I appreciate the general.
I don't think it is.
So what are you saying, Cecile? That we should go back to having a stiff upper lip where we don't respond or react to everything?
No, we need to talk to the media about stop putting Taylor Swift's face up on the screen. That's what we need to stop doing. Because the thing is I working with children, I know that they will take something and they will run with it, you know. And this is most probably a huge leap. However, when parents get divorced, children always think it's their fault.
Oh, 100%.
Always go straight to, I did this, I did that, it must be my fault. So if you then have somebody on the screen and you then groan because you actually want to see the players and see what's gone on, they're going to look and think it's her fault. It's her fault. So I shouldn't have an aspiration to be a star because look, this is what happens. So yes, I get what you're saying. It is a big leap. However, that is what the guy is trying to say in his statement. We need to be careful what we do.
I do agree. I thought it was a really good statement, but I still stand by the fact that it doesn't only apply to Taylor Swift.
It doesn't.
And the thing is, it's what to be very honest, she's a very innocuous, dry person. I don't understand what all the fuss about her is, and all the things. And I'm not being funny, but all the things that is listed that she has done, I would go as far as to say, well, so she should. But then again, there are people in our group who do not have even like 0.00001% of their reach earnings, and they do just as much.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, let's get it twisted. He's not in her circle, or maybe he is, but if they know that she does these things, just because people are not fanning and panning on things like that, it's not her fault. I have to concede that, but you know, at the end of the day, when the medias want to spin a particular narrative or they want to distract you, etc., we know how they can behave.
Exactly. Exactly.
And yeah, they do need to start being held accountable. But then again, like
it's the media. It's 100%. The media.
It is the media.
To add to it, I don't know whether he's due to retire soon anyway.
Who? The media
the quarterback.
No, the quarterback. Footballer.
Oh, her fella.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, you would still get. It's because one particular person has been built up to be a particular thing, and she's coped with it quite well. But there've been others that have stopped before they've got to this point because they haven't coped with it. They haven't coped.
Yeah.
The whole juggernaut of you doing this, and this, and everything that you do will be seen by like these little girls that dress up exactly like you, and yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't have anything to say about Taylor Swift per se. It's not my music. I can listen to it. I don't, so I've got my feet are not in any kind of camp there. But part of it is just like, why is everybody on her case? Does she do these things to make them? It's not, does she do these things to make them? Because that sounds stupid. But
no, I know,
I know
what
is
you
she
mean.
doing that is annoying so many people?
It's what the guy said. It's literally what the guy said. At the end of the day, if I take it back to when I was a fan of thing, you'd have this thing. Oh, do you like Michael Jackson or do you like Prince?
Yeah.
Or do you like oh gosh, like I can't remember who would go up against Will Smith now, but it is that type of thing, and it's amplified more now. Like I said, because we've got social media, everybody is out there saying their opinion, and sometimes, to be fair, people are just saying their opinion. They're not even necessarily being obnoxious and stuff like that. We had this conversation in my office the other day, and well, I think the other month, and I have to tell you, when I tell you the temperature rose, it was kind of shocking. I remember thinking, wait a minute, what are we talking about? Where are we? Who are we? Because, and I'm sure, I'm sure I was the culprit, because somebody, what it was when,
why
did she have a tour? Did she have a tour here? She had a tour here.
Yes.
And there were two people that just kept waxing lyrical in there. I said, oh, please, I've had enough. Can we talk about somebody else, please? I said, anyway, she may well be a very nice and talented person, but I stand by the fact that Michael Jackson did what he did without any help from social media. Oh boy, was I person non grata, but I didn't care. I stood by what I said, and all the statistics came up there, all the stuff, all the statistics that Whitney Houston broke, half of them are still there. They have not been broken. So it was that type of conversation, and it does seem to evoke people getting really, really sort of like het up and stuff for whatever reason. And then it gets like that because obviously we're talking about music, who wrote them, but because certain people, I don't know if they felt they were losing the argument. I don't know why. It's to be honest, if you're talking with me, it's very easy for you to win the argument because I'm usually going to capitulate or die laughing. So you're usually going to win. They just needed to be a bit more patient. And then they started throwing in, well, Michael Jackson was this and he was that blah, and I'm like, get a grip.
Well, he was.
And well, I don't know. There have been a lot of stuff debunked, and certain people who were involved have come out and said certain things. So I think we can all park that one and believe what we believe. But it's just the level of interest, and like you said, why do
why does she
it's hard, but it's what but it's just that thing. It's that thing. And I think no matter what we say, we're going to come back to the media because these people, wrongly, rightly, indifferently, they create cottage industries.
Yeah.
So there are lots of people there that will be online. You know, you got the ones who will dress up like her, they will do this, and they'll get big TikTok followings. Big TikTok followings means paydays, right? So you have the same, and I'm sorry, but as we're talking about it, I'm going to go there. We have the same thing with Harry and Meghan. Right? There are lots of cases out there. I'm not talking about them or your opinion of them. I'm just saying there are lots of people out there who are for them and against them, and they've got very big accounts, very big followings, which means they get a lot of money. I mean, obviously the hate ones are more, and some of them have millions of followers. And if you go and have a nosy around their accounts, you just think, wow, you have got time. But they're making money of it.
But is there a difference between, and again, I'm not a Swiftie, so I could be saying the wrong thing, but is there a difference between the likes of Taylor Swift and the likes of Meghan and Harry, who at least according to the media, Meghan wants that attraction. Meghan wants to be in the do you know what I mean?
No, because because again, you've said it. You have said the words according to the media.
Yeah. No, but this is what I just said. That's what I just said. So I don't know I don't know, because I'm not a Swiftie fan and I don't do TikTok. So, but what I'm saying is in my head, Taylor Swift does not go out there looking for that attention, whereas sadly,
neither does Meghan. Neither does Meghan.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
If and I will put my feet firmly in that one, because
and
it goes back to the very point that you made at the very beginning, is that if people take a disliking to you, then whatever the media amplifies up, then you're just done for. But the only reason why I brought up the Meghan one is simply because there are people, I have seen them live, they're there spouting, but then when she releases her products, they want to go and buy it. I'm sorry, but if I didn't like you, sir, so I'm not buying anything you're selling. No, come on. To me, it doesn't make sense. And so the point I'm just making is that just the media that fuels everything. But with that fuel, people are able to make a living off it. That is the problem.
Of course they are.
That is where the issue is. So I think there are lots of people out there who would say they do not like Taylor, they do not like Meghan, they do not like Will, they do not like Chris. That probably, in all honesty, don't care. What they're looking at is the ka-ching going into their bank account.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back. It goes back to your 80s, of when things like your pop stars, you had like your bands versus your bands. Like you were a fan of one or you were a fan of the other, and you would dress a certain way to be part of it. Then the merchandise started coming out. And then people were then realizing, if I wear a certain brand, my fans will wear that brand. So from the 80s, it's just gradually getting bigger and bigger. And then you've got social media that's then on top of it. So you've kind of got this, even if you're not a Swiftie, if you're not wearing a certain thing at school, for instance, that you're kind of, oh, you're not right. So for me, if I was wearing bog standard trainers in the 80s, I can't. Why am I not wearing Reeboks? Why am I wearing like trainers that you get from the market? But it's like that, and it's between brands now for kids nowadays, and it's all with the social media and everything else. So it's just kind of, it's become this bigger thing, but I can't see it's actually helped in any way. It's just become bigger, and you might be a fan of someone and you're not actually a fan of them, but just because you just want to fit in, you don't want the extra hassle of. I mean, when you were a fan back in the 80s, you had to go down to the shop, you had to go and wait for the CD single to come out, or you get the vinyl single to come out, because the albums didn't come straight away. It was the singles that you would then go through. And the merchandise, it would be the posters. You would have to go and get your posters and stuff. Whereas now you don't get the posters like that anymore.
No.
My one in the 80s was more Wham and the Luton Town football and England football.
So a question then to anybody who's watching who has a child that is, I don't know, early teens or younger, what are they putting on their walls now? Because ours were covered in posters. Are they still buying posters? What do they put on their walls? Does anything go on their walls? Are their walls bare? I don't know. That'd be interesting, because my walls were covered. So
we did, but then again, what the kids hit and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yes.
We always get the posters in what was in Smash Hits, and you could put your own little bits together and collages.
We're talking about scrolling down to 1965, obviously when I was born. We're now talking about things that the young people don't even know.
No, what it is,
Jackie magazine.
Well, it's right.
Then you get the words of the songs and all of that stuff.
It's the youngsters just have a different focus. I'm sorry, the reason why I'm laughing is some of my young taekwondo friends are out there, and it's the attention span. So just to give you a look, right, too long did not read, as they say. But basically, when we were at summer camp at the evening, we were doing that dance. Is it the Macadamia? That
Yeah.
one there, right? So bear in mind, we're in fancy dress. Some of them had been drinking and stuff like that. And then somebody videoed it. So then the other day, I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw somebody doing exercises with dumbbells to it. So imagine holding your dumbbells up. So I thought, oh my God, this is really funny. So I posted it in the group. But all the youngsters, they've forgotten what happened on May 10th. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We don't understand. And I'm thinking to myself, this was less than a month ago. What do you mean? So I can't imagine why they would put, my point, I said all of that, right? I can't imagine that they would need to put anything on their wall, because as soon as that it goes up, they've gone to the shop to buy it. It's going to come down again because they've forgotten that they like them.
Yeah. Ours stayed up till they've actually fell down. So, okay, we're gonna move on to reset, but it was, for me, that was very interesting in the sense of there's a lot of the stuff, and again, very sadly, a lot of influences that young people have comes from what they see at home, and their behavior quite often.
Can I ask you a question, Cecile?
And yes, especially maybe
it's very pertinent to you because obviously you are parents and stuff like that. But when I can't say we because it's really only a year between us. But like when we were growing up, right, when we were younger, we're like, stay away from this person. I don't want you to have that type of influence. Come here, stay home, read your books, do this and that. And obviously, well, for us, like you couldn't just like rock up after school and say you were going out. It was all kind of contained, and so the influences will still coming from like what you were describing, I suppose, with the parent and child thing there. But obviously, that was much more deliberate in the sense that, well, at least it was in our house, because we were told point blank, do not go here, do not here, do not mess up. If you're going out, make sure you behave yourself, dress accordingly, etc.
So, what's the question? Is it? Are you?
So
do they?
The
is question, that
still there? Do you think that? I said those were our things, those were our influences, and then our external influences were what you mentioned, like the Jackie, the Cosmo, the Smash Kids.
The person who is so busy today that she needed to be off screen has come back again. She's come back again. She's got something to say.
All I'm trying to say is that, do you just think that those influences that we got like that have just been replaced by social media?
Not just, mostly. Not completely, because it's still there in the houses. There are young people who will follow what their parents have done, or I think also with parents, they're so busy working and things like that, maybe they haven't got a handle on what is going on. But social media plays a big part. It really does. We've said it on this show many times, and I say it all the time. When I was at school, or even up to 20 years ago, bullying stopped at 3:30 because you went home, got no tablets, no internet, no nothing. Right? No mobile phones, none of that. So that stopped there. You went home, and then you go back to school the next day, and then it would start again. Whereas now it's 24/7. And when I'm working with young people, they just don't even want to switch their phones off, because it's not about they want to see more of the bullying. They're then just scared that other things will be happening. And they don't know what's being said about them, so it's the same kind of thing with this. Those influences, a lot of it is social media. There's still parental influences, family influences. That is still there as well. But I think social media is bigger. Shelley?
Yeah, I was about to say, sort of, we had a lot of influence on what you was like as a woman growing up, for my kind of age, that you had like things like Ms. magazine. So it's been the forward onto like your Cosmopolitan kind of thing. So you didn't have like social media saying, oh, this is the best makeup, this is the best skincare,
Yeah.
whatever. You had that kind of thing, and women's empowerment through a magazine that you would get buying each month. So you would have that kind of what your parents are saying at home, but perhaps what your older brother and sister was saying, and then a magazine. Whereas now you've got social media where it's some of it's skewed to come across as being the truth. Some of it is the truth, and some of it is mixed up with what the general public are then saying.
Yeah.
So you're not quite getting a true version of what's kind of like going on.
Yeah.
So it is an odd one.
No, that's really scary because does anybody, even adults, does anybody actually get a true reflection of anything these days? Because there's always a spin somewhere.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And it depends on what you're looking at, because at the end of the day, I suppose we are talking about social, but even more serious things, like what we're talking about last week, what happened at the parade for the Liverpool there. You know, it's funny actually, because we had that conversation and Shelley said it at the top of the call, and I just thought, yeah, good call. But now then, when you look at it and then you compare it, and then now, you know, you get to see all the analysis of what's gone on before, you're like, so now you see something and you have got to really be mindful to think, right, who's telling me this? Why are they telling me that? Is it the truth? Should I also go and check here? Let me go and check Google. Let me go and ask ChatGPT. Let me go and ask my husband if he's seen anything, because what does he think? You can't see anything now and just think, oh, this is it.
You could give 5 journalists the same report, and you would get 5 different views of that one report that's the truth.
Yeah.
Because they've picked on a particular part of that report. And that is what social media is, times 1,000, times 1,000,000.
Well, it's bad, Shelley.
Yeah. It always you could reflect back to it, only because it, like, going to the cinema. I haven't been to the cinema in years, but we used to go to the cinema a lot, and you would always have your favorite person that would do a review of a film, because they come at it a different way. They don't try and tell you all the bad bits or all the good bits or whatever. They just explain, or that particular person is someone that you like because you like the films that they've then said they like their films. So you might have your same news resource the same way, that I will always go to that source because they provide me the information in a particular way. But nowadays you've got so much stuff out there. You just need to look at all the different resources to try and work out what you then think is then right.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
And one of the things that Nike said right in the beginning is, why can't you just like what you like and the next person like what they like, and nobody needs, why does everybody feel they need to make that comment about whatever? You don't need to make a comment. You like yours, I like mine, that's fine.
I mean, I got fed up of seeing her on the screen, but it didn't mean to say that I'm then out there going, I hate her.
No, exactly.
It was just, I'm annoyed.
Well,
the producer of the show has decided to take that camera angle all the time.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed with him. I'm not annoyed with her. I'm not annoyed with the football players. I'm not annoyed with anyone. It's that producer that's then decided, because she's famous, because she's that big, we're going to keep putting her on screen. And it's like, no, if anyone I'm annoyed with, it's him that's, or it could be her. It could be her. Of that, putting them on the screen all the time.
If TJ could speak, I wonder how many times he would say that you have gone, oh God, not again.
He had his name. Look,
yeah, of course he did. You know, don't you, TJ? You know what she's moaning about.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So we're going to leave that out there. And if you're watching later on and you've got something to say, tell us. It doesn't matter whether you like, you dislike, whatever. Just tell us what your thoughts are. So this morning I saw your video, Nikkei. Lovely red top. I like that. It's very nice. About reset, because we are at the beginning of the half month of the year.
I know.
And it's about reset. So tell people what you were saying.
It's quite interesting, actually, because I just noticed. So I know you don't do TikTok, but you probably get it on your phone as well, where it throws up memories.
Yes.
Right? So but on TikTok, it was saying you posted this on this day, and it came up from the 30th of May, 1st of June. And going back to 2022, in May, I was literally just getting back into exercise again after having broken my ankle. And then it came up again, and then I thought to myself, oh my God. And then the walking thing started in June. So I just thought, it just seemed for me that my reset month tends to be June. And on Saturday, I went to visit a friend in Milton Keynes, and she's like, Nicky, I've not seen any of your posts recently. So I was laughing. So you've not been out? And I'm like, yes, I have. And then I started racking my brain. I thought, oh, actually, I have been out intermittently because stuff has been going on and I've not been able to get out. And I'm like, well, that's it. You know, it's a new month. We're going to have a little reset, make a plan, and get back out there. And it is that thing, isn't it? Because like when you're going on look, like you like it, for example, you're driving somewhere in a car. Say you're going from here to Newcastle, for example. You're driving along merrily along the way on the M1, and then all of a sudden there's a diversion. And you're like, oh my God. That's how I like it.
That's not the word I would use, but yes.
Yeah, there's a diversion. And then you're thinking, oh my God. And obviously, depending where you are on the journey, if that diversion is bad enough, you could actually think to yourself, oh, sorry, I ain't bothering going to Newcastle again. And you could turn around and come back home again. And then you would have to start all over again. But the diversion at that point really is just a mini reset, because you're still on your journey. You're still going to get to, and that is just really what I was thinking about. And I just think, I see a lot of stuff online where they talk about resetting every week. And I just think,
every week?
Yeah, they do. They talk about, I know what they're saying. It's like, these people who are very anal about writing down all their plans and their schedules and stuff like that, and you know, the carryover. But for me, I just think if you have fallen off the wagon, so to speak, of something that you're really trying to achieve, that is really where I would use the thing reset. So like if you've been trying to follow a healthy eating plan, life has been a life thing, you've not been able to for whatever reason, or you're not been able to go, like in my case, I didn't go out walking as much. So that's what for me is like a reset. So right, we're coming up, it's the halfway year, there's still 6 months of the year, and we just need to use that time mindfully.
So do you do a reset then in January? And then obviously what you've seen is in June you kind of do the same thing. But I
think the one in June has been accidental, to be honest. So in January, I am quite traditional in the sense that, oh my God, it's a new year, I'm going to make these goals, I'm going to try and achieve this, etc. And you know, I suppose depending on how effective your planning is, and like I always say, how life and life's between there. And then you're just going. And the only reset thing that I really do in January, I've done it, and I'm sure I learned this from Sandra actually, is that in January, I just decided I'm not going out. I'm not going out in January. I will do the incidentals, like obviously if somebody was over from Nigeria or America, of course, you know, because that's not normal. They're not always here. But generally speaking, if you're in my general circle, I'm not going to just randomly come out.
But would you go out if somebody's birthday in January?
Yeah, if like I say, if it's not normal. So obviously, if it's a milestone birthday, yes. If it's not a milestone, depending, I don't know. That's the new thing for me. But I do.
My birthday is not in January then.
It depends. The person that I would have that would break that is in January tends not to celebrate much, actually, to be fair.
Okay.
No, but it's just that thing,
in June because you feel better with weather changes. I don't know, because there's no decent weather out there today, but
no, but I get what Shelley's
yeah.
saying, because actually until I started working at home, I didn't realize how much the weather did actually have an impact on my mood. Right, because obviously I was sitting here, and then like it starts to get dark to the extent that you need to put on the light around 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I'm sitting there thinking, why is it so dark? But it's the light more than anything else, more than the weather, because it's brighter in June. You kind of feel a little bit more optimistic. You're much happier. You don't have to make much more of an effort to be happy.
Yeah, because the difference, which I've just thought about, the difference between working in a big office and working at home is the likelihood is in that big office, those lights are on all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So you don't see that change, like you said, when you're sat in your house working and there's no light on. As the day goes on and it gets a little bit darker, you then need to put the light on. You see those changes. You notice the time as well. Whereas in a big office, that light is always on, blaring. Okay, so the June reset has just suddenly it's kind of just you fell into that because it's something that you've then noticed. I wonder what other people do. So again, if you're watching later or if you're watching now, tell us what you do. What kind of reset do you do, or do you do a reset? I don't think I do.
I was going to say, but the other thing as well, which is the joy of the English language, a lot of the way we speak, it's just a label. Because at the end of the day, you're doing things and you don't want it to go awry. One of my young friends at work didn't know the meaning of that word yesterday. That was quite funny. You don't want things to go awry, and so you want to get back on track. And you obviously, some people might feel as if they want to wait for a particular time. So really and truly, if you're going to use the word reset, you can reset at any time. It's just like if you're doing a puzzle, for example, an online puzzle, and it's not working, there's usually a button to reset it. Or, like you do the Alt Control Delete when your computer's frozen.
Okay. But so that online puzzle then, does it reset it as in it gives you a whole new one?
Yeah. So there's one that I don't do it all the time. It's the mini New York Times crossword. And every now and again you're doing it, and it used to drive me crazy because obviously it's a crossword and it's American. So quite often I would get stuck and I'd be really frustrated. And then one day I noticed there's a reset button there. So you press the reset button and you can start again. But the point being, the reason why I kind of like that is because also it enables you to be kind to yourself. Because sometimes when you're trying to do something and then it doesn't work, you can feel yourself getting frustrated. You can feel as if you've failed or you've fallen, and oh my God, this person is, why can't I do it? But then you're able to actually say, well, actually, I haven't given up. I just needed to kind of start again, and then I'm going. So that's the reason why I like the idea of a reset. It's just the way of saying that it's an interruption, so to speak. You're getting back after an interruption.
Yeah. So I've just written down a few things. So just for people, people out there, do you reset? How often do you do a reset? Should you reset each week?
No.
Can you reset at any time? And remind yourself that it enables you to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
So when I do my word search, which I do on my phone, you can reset if it's getting on your nerves, but I never do that. I stay with it, and I get more and more frustrated until I actually complete it. Should I just reset, or should I carry on?
Not necessarily, because I think it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So for me, word searches are quite therapeutic, actually, to be honest.
Yeah. until you can't do them, and then they get
they become really annoying.
Yeah,
I know. Because I remember when we first discovered Sudoku, I used to absolutely love it, but I would always do it with a pencil, because if I made a mistake, I'd want to rub it out and start again.
Yeah,
so
I know
think,
that.
I think the reason why I think the word reset is a good idea as well, because it is that thing. It's just that it's just basically it kind of puts a cap on the idea of saying that, oh, to use bad language against yourself, basically, to say that that someone is a failure, that they're stupid, that they're dumb, and all of these other things that we've generally used in those things. Because really, if you think about it, if you actually cannot reset, then what happens? What you just what I mean? It's
so
difficult.
For some people, I would presume, who are in whatever situation that they are in, if they then don't have the means to reset, then they're just going to continue on that path.
Yeah.
So an addict, for example, if they don't have access to some support, because it's not easy for them to make those changes on their own. Some people can, don't get me wrong, some people can, but if they don't have access to that support to do that, they may then just continue on that same path. Whereas if they want to do a reset and they can access it, then they get that support to make those changes.
Yeah.
Okay. So just think about that. Anyone is watching, because we've got a few people watching. Hello, people who are watching.
Hey.
Just think about that. A reset. What would that look like for you? Does it need? And they don't need to be big. A reset can be as small as you want it to be, or as big as you want it to be.
100%. Yes.
It's what you can manage, what you want to do, what change you want to make. Okay, so just think about whether you want to do a little reset in this month of June, because this month of June is right in the middle of the year.
Indeed.
Right. We will be back next week. There is a Real Talk special on tonight. Between 7 and 8. And even us managers do not know what Dee Bailey is doing.
But why is it only between 7 and 8? When did that start?
Because it's a special.
It's a special
today. Only
as
today.
far as I know, no guests. I think. I don't know.
I don't know what she's got up her sleeve. There's something up her sleeve. I don't know what it is. But it's a special, so it's on 7 till 8. So don't think to yourself, "Oh, I'm going to watch that at 8:30." That's going to be done.
Taekwondo between 7 and you have just ruined my Tuesday evening. My Tuesday evening is normally
take it up with the manager.
I come home and I'm like, oh, and I'll be
Can I just remind you, as I just said, even us as managers, myself and Shelley, do not know what's happening this evening.
All right, so I went into self-centered mode
take it up with the big boss.
Take
it up with the big boss. But yes, so there's going to be a special Real Talk show tonight from 7 till 8. If you miss it, then
have some on birthdays.
We'll have to watch it on catch up then.
Yes, it could be to do with birthday.
Could be to do with birthdays, I think.
Yeah.
Toot her own horn.
It very well be. That's who knows. You need to watch. You need to just watch it. Okay, 7 till 8. What else have we got, Shelley?
We've just starting to get some people coming through for wanting to be exhibitors at the Black Bookcase. I'm giving it the short title. I'm not doing the long title. If you know anyone that has got like books, like book selling, arts, crafts, music, spoken words, that wants to be involved, get on our pages. It's got the event page on Facebook. Fill out the form to be exhibitor on the day. We're at Luton Sixth Form College again. Yes.
Excellent.
It took off very, very quickly. So, yeah.
Excellent. Don't miss out. Save the date and don't miss out. Right. We will be back next week, and hopefully it will not be raining, and it will actually be June weather. It needs to be June weather. See you all next week.
Bye.